industry is made up of a lot of great people, and Dave was one of the best. He was an investor who I loved going to see because he was respectful, he was engaging, he loved the industry. Sometimes he is challenging, but I think that made me a better leader and our companies that he invested in better.
Dave's intellect, deep technical knowledge and broad experience in the mining industry never failed to impress. And in 2019, we invited Dave to join the board of Perseus Mining Limited as a non-executive independent director. In accepting the role, Dave said to me, I'll only be able to serve one term. And I asked him why this would be the case, to which he replied, "Don't you know how old I am?" Now, as it turned out, I didn't know how old Dave was. His apparent fitness and love of cycling told a very different story. But age was never relevant in any event, as Dave served his role as a director of Perseus with distinction for a couple of terms until he reluctantly resigned a couple of months ago. Now, in his time with Perseus, Dave's intelligence and knowledge became widely known throughout our company, and he was deeply appreciated and respected by all who had contact with him. But more than that, he was greatly appreciated as a very kind and wise person who, when he talked, people listened.
We will definitely miss him, as will the industry. So a great geologist, a true professional, a great bloke, actually, and a champion for the mining industry, and particularly a champion for the junior explorer, because he recognised that it was the juniors, the smaller guys beating it out day after day on the ground, that were going to make the discovery. So he was a great champion for those people. So the industry will miss him very much because of that. So farewell, Dave, a true legend.
Of Tasmania in 1965, when we were teamed up to carry out regional reconnaissance between Waratah and Zeehan, 100 kilometres to the south. This is now part of the Tarkine National Park. We spent days on end with food and a tent on our backs, walking along rivers like the Pahaman, Wilson and Huskisson, tributaries of the Pieman River, crossing over ridges and button grass plains to locate airborne magnetic anomalies and assess geologically whether these anomalies were prospective for copper, zinc or tin mineralisation. We found none, but neither has anyone else since. In the late 1980s, Dave worked with me at Plutonic in Western Australia. Dave, with his disciplined approach to geology, was tasked to better understand this new greenstone belt. He did. One evening after a long day in the field, Dave and I were sitting around a campfire with a number of younger geologists, on which Dave remarked that none had been born when we first met in Tasmania.
Dave was a great mentor and friend to many of us, not just here at Acorn, but throughout the industry. I think one of the characteristics that really set him apart as an investor was his great breadth and depth of knowledge. In Africa alone, he'd visited mining operations in 38 different countries. And that's just Africa, and across Australia it was the same. But it wasn't just the knowledge that he had for himself, but he shared it with so many people, and that's what really stood out to me in terms of one of his great characteristics.
Yeah, he was always very generous and open with his knowledge. Despite often being the most knowledgeable person in the room, he still made measured and humble assessments of investment opportunities. But he always maintained that a lucky geologist was always better than a good geologist. But we all learned a lot working alongside Dave.